Hey everyone, so today I am talking to you guys about this this book right here. It is From All Hell Breaks Loose to What Miranda is Up to Now. This book is being told by the perspective of Jace. Jace is one of the main characters along with Klaus, Brianna, Caesar, and Brittany. Brittany is Jace's wife. That is Brittany's husband in the book. They end up having 2 kids together, Halos and Phoebe. They don't have kids after that. It's just them 2. But I decided on this one that Jace should be the one to tell the story, because there's something in this book. Again, if you have not read this book, I would consider clicking out of this until after you read it. But in this one, Phoebe ends up accidentally pregnant. So here's the thing. I ended up putting that Miranda, which is Brianna and Caesar's character's mom, had a friend who was dying in the world that she lives in, which is Laramond. She had a friend that was dying, and she was originally attempting to transfer the baby out of the friend and put it into one of Brianna and Caesar's sisters, but it didn't really enough. It somehow went to Phoebe. Nobody knows how that happens. Even I don't know how that happens. I was just like, hey, let's do it that way. It'd be super cool. So I did it that way, and Jace does not take this well. So this is why I said it, because I feel like me and Brittany talked about this when I was doing that chapter about who would take it a lot easier, and we both agreed. I think the father would be the one to take this a lot harder, just because, of course, daddy's little girl kind of thing. And Phoebe is kind of one, but she's also very independent, like Michaela, which is Brianna and Klaus's daughter. She's very independent, but she also does still rely on her parents. And especially at this time, they're both in high school at this point. Both kids are in high school. They're juniors, I think. No. Yeah, they're juniors at this point. No, yeah, they're sophomores, going to be juniors by the time they look about their juniors. And they're just very terrified of what's going to happen next. And Miranda's just super okay, well, she can have the baby. She could give birth to the baby and then just give it back to me, so I can raise it with your sisters. Telling Brianna that. And Brianna's just she's not wanting to give up that kid now. It's not her fault. You put the kid in her. And Miranda's trying to fight it oh, well, I didn't mean to put it in her. It somehow just went to her. The spell just went crazy and somehow ended up in her. And we're all, at this point, trying to argue with Miranda about, the baby's being, staying with Phoebe. And she ends up having the kid, ends up becoming a teen mom. Ernie does come back a little bit here and there, just because Brianna is just so struggling, especially after the fact that Michaela ends up getting kind of kidnapped. The mom, Miranda, her grandma, for some weird reason, has this little obsession, now towards her hatred against both her own daughter and her granddaughter. So she places her granddaughter in the worst place you can imagine in time. So they're trying to bring her back. There was only one way they were able to do that, and they ended up doing it. But the problem is that everybody thought that Klaus died the second time. So they're at this point kind of mourning the loss, but at the same time still having some hope. And Brianna actually gets into an altercation with one of Klaus's older cousins, because his older cousin is kind of he's kind of like Klaus from the originals. He's very mindseted, only his way and the highway kind of thing. He's just very much like that. And that's how I kind of put Alan is, which is, that's the older cousin's name. Oh my god, I can't speak right now. That is the older cousin's name, Alan. So they kind of get into a fight, and to the point where luckily Klaus comes back and he has to like pull them apart, and like he basically like he basically pushes Alan out of the way, and then like tries to like get in front of Brianna, and she's just like super stunned because again at this point they were in like belief that Klaus had died, so they're just like, is that really you? Like they're super stunned on all this, and even at some point there's so much happening in this book, like for example, like especially for Brianna, her character, there's just so much she has to do. Like her humanity turns off, they're trying to turn it back on. And the reason why I did that was because like I feel like Vampire Diaries did such an amazing job with showing that everybody has a moment where they just like they need their emotions off, because sometimes life just like it's so hard. It's like I know I felt that way a couple times, like where I felt like I wish I had no emotions at that moment because of everything I've gone through. And that at that point, like I was trying to like see like, hey, what would I do in that case if I was able to turn off my humanity? And I did it in the book, and I loved the way it came out. And like a lot of other things, like also like her apparently having to grieve Klaus again, like the thought of her having to grieve him, and then like she has to fight with her mother over many things, like the fact that she made her niece pregnant. She literally caused the whole thing with Klaus almost dying. She put a spell on Caesar, like to the point where she had to like fight Caesar too, and like slap him out of it because he was so hell bent and so like under a spell on wanting to kill his own sister, the one sister that he wants to protect, like everything. Like that's his whole world, his sister along with his new family, his wife and stuff. And then there's something that I wasn't gonna originally do, but I just decided to do this, and it was the fact that Brianna and Caesar have different fathers. So I end up putting that, and I think his name is Noah. Noah decides, I believe it was Aaron. Oh my god, I really need to reread these books before I do these videos, because I literally forget so much. And then there's another shocker that Miranda not only had one set of twins, she had two. And the twin that I decided to do was Caesar. I felt like Caesar needed a twin because, like, I feel like this entire series has been just about Brianna and, like, a little bit of, like, Brittany and them. And so Caesar's only gone through a couple things in life. So I put him having a twin. And the twin ends up being part of the LGBTQ community. He ends up being gay and going through a lot of traumatic things growing up. The poor thing, like, all you want to do is just give him a hug. His name is Aiden. Like, oh my god, like, I remember writing this and just, like, I remember crying writing it because it was just so sad what he had been through. And, like, the fact that I came up with this so cool. I'm not going to say quickly. Through time, it was just, wow, like, I was even amazed of how good it came out. But yeah, you guys read the stories. Do you guys need the link? Just let me know and I will send them to you. I love you guys. Bye.